Kia ora, this is Ben, Head of Music at Waiku College, and tonight on episode 3 of Muse, we're talking to Josh from the band Fire for Glory. Kia ora everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Muse, and tonight we're very privileged to have Josh from the band Fire for Glory. Josh, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good, man. It's awesome to be here and kind of be a part of what you're creating. I think it's awesome.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. I mean, the kids have loved the episodes they've seen so far. It's really great to hear from others about what they've done and the music that they're doing. So, as per normal, the floor is yours. And if you could just tell us a little bit about your musical background through school, etc., and how you got into bands, and then we can carry on from there.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I've been singing as long as I can remember, and that's right through school. I was choir boy, I was primary, kind of intermediate, only boy in the choir, and kind of went up through high school and wanted to kind of get involved in kind of singing however I can. And I was in, jumping in on musicals, and I got classical voice lessons. And then someone in my form room introduced me through an unlabeled mix CD that he gave me to the world of rock and metal. And I just fell in love with this music that was just injected with so much energy,
awesome,
and passion and drive that I just thought this is the kind of music I need to be singing. So I just was like, let's start. I started a band, with some other guys in my music classes, and we sucked, but we didn't think we did at the time.
Yeah.
In hindsight. Yeah.
What school did you go to?
I was at Pakuranga College.
Hey, Pakuranga College, mean. Yep, actually my friend teaches there now. I don't know if she was teaching there. Mrs. Kilmartin, she was teaching. She taught English.
No, I don't think I remember, but this was a little while ago. So.
Yep. No, great school. And you got on well with your music teacher? Did he or she give you any advice about what you should be doing other than the musical theatre stuff? Like any guidance?
I probably the best guidance actually was really cool. I remember quite on my year 9 parent teacher interview. I'd kind of just started, thinking I'm going to do this kind of rock band, singing in a band thing. And my mum came with, and she said, look, I'm prepared to support you if the music teacher thinks you're good.
Okay.
And I went in and she said, look, I want to be frank. I'm skeptical. He wants to, have this as a prospective career option, being a singer for a rock band. Can he do it? And my music teacher was like, look, especially as a vocalist, it's a hard gig. It's a lot of work. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's going to have an easy time. But if anyone in my current class could do it, it's your boy. And mum was awesome. I always had really supportive kind of whānau with that. Mum was always just like, she was like, from then on, she's like, sweet, all right. Any music you make, as long as you put 110 into it, I'm backing it. So I kind of just jumped forward from there. And
that is such a great story. The fact that person saw potential in you and basically said, told you the truth. It's going to be hard, but you could do it.
Yeah.
That is wicked, man. And how many times do you think you practiced at school? Like, how often would you be in the music room practicing, other than being in music class?
We used to be able to. You'd book out the band rehearsal spaces, and we would go. I think we would always max it out at twice a week because it used to drive the music department nuts because we were all about loud, and so we would take all the amps from any practice rooms that hadn't been booked, and we would take the other drum kit so that we had 2 bass drums and an unnecessary amount of cymbals.
Oh, man.
And it started driving the music department nuts. So they said, right, you guys can practice here for free, but you can only be 2 nights a week. And you have to put the drums back. And
wow.
So we did max it out. We tried doing lunchtime practices in there. I think we did one. They said, look, you can jam at lunchtime. And we jammed at lunchtime, and he came in at the end of the session, and we never again.
Wow.
They could hear you on the other side of the school.
Wow.
You have no business being that loud.
Law. Oh, I mean that's just kind of like most rock bands like myself. I have the same story, so we'll just leave it like that, and I won't talk about my stuff. But I'm very interested in hearing. So you've released a new EP. Just remind me the name. The name of it's Life of the Party, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's the
Yeah,
one.
I listened to it. I got to review it, luckily on music.net.nz. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was just like the moment you press play, energetic and just great melodies, great lyrics, great instrumentation, very thoughtful. And I think what it would be really good for you to do is to talk us through that process of how you think about about songwriting. What is your process? So again, man, floor is yours, and I'll jump in if I need to.
Oh, thank you so much. It's quite cool in that we have always been a collaborative band, and when we started the band a decade ago, our songwriting process was always go in a room and someone has a riff or a vocal melody, and you would just kind of run that on a loop. I think the very first song we ever wrote, which in hindsight is terrible, but it got us going, I just hammed out these 3 power chords over and over again, and Grant, our drummer, just started kind of jamming this rhythm to it, and he's got this great ear for just these awesome dynamic rhythms, and we just kind of jammed that over and over and over until we got sick of jamming it, and then we were like, okay, well, what if at this bar we kind of switched it up to this chord to kind of keep people on their toes, and we ended up writing kind of just this terrible song, but we were really proud of it, and I think that was key into keeping on going, because we then came back to the practice room the next week and we wrote another pretty retrospectively bad song, but it was slightly better than the last bad song we'd written, and we kind of kept doing that until about 2015 when we put out our first EP, because we had these 5 songs that we were like, these are actually these are pretty good songs.
Good.
And they're ones that in retrospect I still love those songs, and we kind of put that first EP out, and it just so happened that other people were like, these are cool songs, we enjoy them, people started paying attention, which was great. But what's really special about Life of the Party is we were forced to change the way we wrote and the way we analyzed all the little parts. This EP is hugely, more than anything else we've ever done, hugely about the small details.
Sure.
And there's a lot of it that's not obvious as well, because at its core, it's pop punk. It's, 2 guitars, bass, drums, and vocals, but we put the little things in there that just give it. They're the things that you don't know are there, but if they were gone, you would notice.
Yeah, man. And that's
yeah.
one thing I noticed about listening to it, was that I'm the sort of guy that when I listen to something, I give it my full attention because it deserves it. Like, attention is the currency that the world lives on, so you must choose it wisely. And so I pay attention to those things. Did you guys self-produce it? Who helped you figure that stuff out? Like, was it just you guys that did all that?
Yeah, so it was part of, I think, kind of this whole writing process we went into the first level 4 lockdown last year, and we hadn't put out a full release outside of a couple of singles since 2017, and we were like, look, it's about time we did something new.
Sure.
And we've all got home recording setups, and they're all, a varying degree of quality. I mean, mine's just an old iMac I got off Trade Me, and a little DI interface that I can just slam my guitar straight into the computer. And on GarageBand and on Logic Pro, they've got that kind of that smart drummer feature.
Yeah, man.
Where you really click up a drummer and kind of click a couple of buttons in terms of the style you want them to play in, and the speed and the pressure and and the time signature, and he just kind of comes up with these loops that work perfectly with any riff I've got. And so we were all kind of at home just hamming out these demos, really rough. I would just put the bare bones of a song, and we had a Google Drive file that I set up because I said, look, being a teacher, I said, I've been using Google Drive in my class and it could work for the band.
Mm-hmm.
So I set up a Google Drive file, put everyone in it, and then just started uploading my Logic files to this drive going, right, these are some demos I'm writing. Some of them are good, some of them probably aren't. If you hear one that you think could work, open it up, add some parts or take parts out.
Wow.
And we ended up with about 15 across the span of that lockdown, 15 or 20 demos kind of
wow.
from at the time, 4 of us.
Yeah.
And we said, well, now what? And so we said, well, let's be, again, we're still locked down. We did a Zoom or a Google Meet, and we sat all with headphones in, and at the same time we listened to the 20 songs, and we kind of critically analyzed them in terms of our first thing is how much do we enjoy the songs, and that's always been our priority. And so we wanted kind of how much do we enjoy these songs, how much then do we think other people might like them, what's got kind of potential, and we've really settled on there are some pretty good songs in those, but there were 4 songs that were solid standouts. So we said, let's just focus on those 4 and hone them as an EP. So then we kind of went back, the lockdown ended, we spent time going back and forth recording more kind of pre-production versions. This time there'd be maybe 2 of us in a session at a time going, right, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
Upload demo version of Loser or Life of the Party, number 4, send it across. And the guys were like, I'm not vibing with these 2 bars in the verse.
Yeah, so hold on a second, I'm just going to jump in here. So when you're doing this, is this just the music? This is no melodies, no lyrics yet? Are you writing melodies at this stage vocally, or are you demoing what they might sound like, or are you just like putting together the actual music itself?
Depends. Especially with this EP, it heavily depended on the song. Some songs start out as the vocal melody. Loser's a great example in which the lyrics and the vocal for the chorus came before anything.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So tell me about that song, because I listened to it and I played it to my kids in my class, and they all perked their ears up and they're like, "Who's this?" So talk to me about that, man. That's a great song to talk about.
So Loser's my favorite on the EP, and it's the first EP or the first release we've had that it's been hard for me to pick a favorite. But when I'm critical, it comes to Loser. And the funny one with Loser is I wrote the chorus about 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
We had just released our first EP. I was starting to kind of play with ideas for a follow-up. And I was driving, and I had this kind of idea pop into my head, which was just the I'm still a loser, I'm still a little strange, na, 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 na. And I didn't have quite the rest of the lyrics yet. I just had those first 2 lines and kind of a bit of a melody. And so I got off the motorway, pulled over, and just pulled out my phone and had
voice app thing, voice recorder thingy, right?
Voice recorder.
Yeah.
Just slammed that on and we still have it somewhere, just this real awful voice recording of me going, I'm still a loser, I'm still a little strange.
I actually, I will say that has saved my life a couple of times, because typically when I'm driving home from Waiaku College, I'll have this, like, I'll finally get the answer I've been looking for, and I will do like you, man, pull over and be like, sing this, and then I'll get home and I'll be like, that's what I've been looking for. So I get that. That's great advice. That's great advice, students. You should be doing this. Yep. Sorry, carry on.
And always pull over first.
Yes, absolutely. No phone use in the car.
And so I recorded that and I sent it to Grant, our drummer, because he's this kind of producer extraordinaire. He's kind of taught himself to be this wonderful producer over kind of the last decade. And I sent it to him at the time and said, do you have some music that could go to this? And so he kind of hammed out a very bare bones version of what is that chorus rhythm, the ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Kind of hammed that out, and we recorded a demo of it, and it was bad. And I listened to it back at the time. We both listened to it and we're like, oh, this song doesn't work at all. Mm-hmm. What was I thinking? And left it. And we'd wrote a couple other songs at the time that just worked way better, and that ended up being the follow-up EP. But that chorus always kind of floated in the back of my head as why didn't that work?
Yeah, yeah.
And we were doing this one and looking through the demos, and I said, Grant, do you still have the Loser demo? And he goes, oh yeah, I think I actually kept it. And so we opened it, and I said, send me back the instrumental of that chorus. I'm going to re-record those vocals. This was during the lockdown.
Yeah, yeah.
And I re-recorded the vocals, and we went, it works this time. And a lot of that came down to I had just improved in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And it was the right time for the song. And we mapped out some verses. I mapped out the rest of the lyrics, kind of going off that, and I now had this kind of consistent idea. The song really follows this idea of this journey I've been on in this band, of the whole thing being, you know, some people might not be into what we do. There are people out there, you know, online being like, these guys suck. And I don't really care, you know. I get to go and play these awesome shows with my mates and have a great time. You know, this band has taken us overseas. We've got to play the power station. You know, as far in my brain, we made it. You know, we succeeded. Mm-hmm. And there are people that are out there, you know, who can be like, these guys are losers. And I'm like, if this is what a loser is, then count me in. And so I built the lyrics around that.
So can you, and, you know, like when I was because I walk every morning, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
When I listen to that song, the lyrics and the chorus, especially the last part of it, I really, really like. Can you tell the audience what that is? I love those lyrics.
I'm still a loser, still a little strange, but the friends I get by with, they think I'm okay. I could put on a suit and tie, cut my hair, make a better wage, but I'd trade all of that for the circus any day.
Dude, when I heard that, I was like, got goosebumps, because I'm like, that's all the music kids in the music department. That's like everybody. That's like, when you boil it down, everybody feels that way once they put on that suit and tie and they start making money. They realize actually it's your real true friends that make you happy, and we love that. I think that song, man, is absolutely incredible. I love the energy at the beginning of it, the fast drums, and then it's, you know, I can hear all of your influences. So before we wrap up, just before we go, just tell us a couple of influences that you have. Just so the kids can have a think about that when they listen to your track after watching this video, and then I think we'll call it there. But yeah, man,
great, man. It's that, and this song again, quite a dynamic range of influence. So we've got kind of our obvious influences that have always kind of been there for this band. Bands like Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, Panic at the Disco, and those kind of drive those big hooky choruses, the big kind of pop punk kind of vibe. And you go back far enough, you get bands like Blink-182, even Green Day kind of playing into that. But when we actually went into the studio to record this song, the final version as you hear it, it was a lot more stagnant. It was actually quite boring in the verses. It kind of did the same thing for too much, and we couldn't figure out how to jazz it up. And Cameron, our guitarist, his influential background is in punk. Awesome. He loves bands like NoFX.
Mm-hmm. You can hear
Rise
that.
Again.
You can hear that at the beginning. I can hear that now.
And we're sitting there, and Grant and Cameron kind of jamming around. How do we make the song better? What is the thing that we need to make the song just that bit more dynamic to make it a winner? And Grant just started programming in this, and then Cameron all of a sudden kind of his NoFX brain kicked in, and he's slamming those power chords, and we all just sat there and we're like, there it is. Awesome. So we kind of pulled from there, and that's the thing. Kind of, if I could say anything, is keep your influences as wide as humanly possible. I think that's something I wish I had told high school me. Is because in high school I was just like, there is only metal and nothing else.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's kind of like when I'm writing vocal hooks or things like that, I'll listen to a bit of metal, I'll listen to a bit of pop punk, I'll listen to a bit of theater, some R&B, some pop, and just, you know, what is driving me. And most of the time in terms of my influences, it's emotion, something that invokes emotion. And so genre kind of then falls out of the question.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what? That's fantastic advice. I think it's kind of like what I say anyway, and I think that hearing it from you kind of will reinforce to others that actually that's what most musicians do. Dude, Josh, hands down, absolute pleasure to have you on our show. Absolute pleasure to have met you. I think grateful for you to have shared your advice, not only to my students, but to those that are watching wherever. And make sure you go check out Fire for Glory, man. Go listen to the song Lose It. It will be in the links down below. And until next time, we'll see you later, my bro.
Cheers.
See you later.
I'm still a loser. I'm still a